News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Health insurance rates could rise by as much as 23% next year. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Wednesday, July 12, 2017. Skies clear. It's a beautiful morning in western Montana. 54 degrees right now, on our way to a high of 88. Our newscast this morning is sponsored by Dig It Excavating, where they bring 30 years of excavation excellence to your job. Call 214-4292. One of our top stories this morning, health insurance rates for the individual marketplace in 2018 could rise by as little as 4% to as much as 23%, depending on the insurer. Montana's Insurance Commissioner Matt Rosendale released the projected numbers yesterday. Spokesman Kyle Schmauk started with the largest proposed increase from Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Blue Cross overall, on average, in the individual market is requesting an increase of about 23%. The co-op in the individual market, the Montana Health Co-op that is requesting an average increase of about 4%. And Pacific Source is requesting an average increase of about 7.5%.
Blue Cross Blue Shield spokesman John Doran said the chief reason for the average 23% increase is the uncertainty of the healthcare marketplace.
Is the ACA going to continue to be the law of the land, or will there be a different law of the land? And if there is a change made to healthcare policy and healthcare law, when will that take effect? And so those are a lot of the uncertain aspects that are being built into our rates.
Doran was asked if there's any way Blue Cross would lower those rates.
If we get certainty and clarity around the rules and regulations, as well as some of the other market dynamics, then we will go back and review and, where appropriate, adjust those rates accordingly. And so we have built those uncertainties into our rates, and it appears that the competitors in the Montana marketplace have not done so. So if there are changes, they'll most likely have to go back and adjust their rates in a different direction.
Schmauk said there will be 2 public meetings scheduled for Billings and Helena at the end of this month. And let's stay with health care now as the Republicans in the Senate debate the Better Care Reconciliation Act, a Republican health care bill designed to replace the Affordable Care Act. Montana Senator Steve Daines says he's still not ready to sign on to or oppose the bill. Yesterday, Daines explained why.
Here's the challenge we face right now is we don't have a current bill. We need to see what the latest bill is. There's changes going on right now that are holding these cards pretty close to the vest. I've been participating in many, many meetings on the policy, but we're not able to see the actual bill text. Until I actually see the bill text, it's pretty tough to come up with an opinion or position on a bill until you actually know what you're going to be voting on.
If the bill passes, the House and the Senate will work on yet another bill through a process called reconciliation before any new laws go into place. This process can add to or strip out elements in the Senate bill, but Daines says the Senate bill still matters because it needs to lure more votes.
It is pretty important what the Senate bill says because this is whatever the Senate does. And I mean, I think I would say at best, it's even odds that the Senate actually does something here. I mean, the margins are thin. It doesn't take very long. In fact, you can count to 3 fingers. If 3 Republican senators decide that they don't like the bill goes nowhere.
Republicans need at least 50 votes to push the bill through. If they get 50, Vice President Mike Pence would be able to cast a tie-breaking vote. BLM law enforcement officers are investigating the July fire burning south of Fort Belknap Indian Reservation as a suspected human-caused fire. Fire Information Officer Haley Graff says the fire, which started July 3rd, is 60% contained after burning 17 square miles and a small cabin in the Little Rocky Mountains. The National Interagency Coordination Center said it's cost $3.2 million to fight so far. In southeastern Montana, 2 lightning-caused fires on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation have burned nearly 41 square miles in mixed grass and timber. One fire is 95% contained, while the 34-square-mile Witten fire is now 50% contained. A Type 2 management team was called in yesterday morning to help combat the Legier Creek 3 fire burning in the mountains between Thompson Falls and Libby. Here's Fire Information Officer Aaron Fryer explaining why the team was called in.
You know, this fire did take on some pretty significant growth on Sunday, so that was definitely a concern. The Andrews County Sheriff did call for some evacuations of campers and cabins in the Bend Ranger Station area.
Fire said nearly 15 cabins had to be evacuated after the fire was able to spread rapidly because wind-driven embers were causing more fires to spark. Fire crews were able to gain a strong foothold against the blaze on Monday.
They were able to start working on constructing line and to anchor in the fire. So crews today have gone out to continue on some of that work, and they are holding and improving the fire lines as well as using heavy equipment to construct the line on the north of the fire.
There are actually 4 fires in that area, but the Leger Creek 3 fire is the largest at an estimated 1,040 acres. Fire says containment is currently about 25%. Looking at the rest of the West, relief was arriving after a rough stretch of wildfires all around the West, with firefighters slowly surrounding once fierce blazes and evacuees starting to stream back home. Authorities surveying the damage from a blaze in Northern California said yesterday that at least 41 homes had been destroyed near the town of Oroville. Some residents had returned home after fleeing a wildfire in the grassy foothills of the Sierra Nevada, about 60 miles north of Sacramento, but thousands remained under evacuation orders. In Arizona, recent monsoon rain has helped stop the growth of a wildfire in mountains overlooking Tucson, and an evacuation order was lifted for Summer Haven. And in Nevada, fire crews were getting the upper hand on a wildland blaze that shut down Interstate 80 along the Nevada-California line most of yesterday. Back home now, despite all the precipitation that poured into western Montana during winter and spring, Missoula County Fire Protection Association spokesman Jordan Copen said the area is finally dried up.
The grasses and the fuels are curing out. You can see Mount Sentinel out there. It's starting to turn kind of a reddish color, and it's the higher elevations. 2 days ago, I was up on Stewart Peak, and everything is dry up there. There's no more snow fields. Yeah, we got a lot of moisture in the spring, but with the continual hot and dry days that we've had, everything's just dried out.
Missoula County's fire danger level was raised to very high Monday, but Copen says there aren't any new restrictions quite yet.
As of now, we are holding off on those. We take into account all the different factors that it would take to go into restrictions, and part of that is the human cause factor. So far, we haven't had too much for human cause fires. We still get the occasional abandoned campfire. We haven't had too much of that, and we're trying to keep that going.
In a typical fire season, there's usually at least one human-caused fire for every naturally occurring fire, but the odds are a bit better so far this season. And here's a story in neighboring Idaho that you'll all identify with. A lost dog from Boise, Idaho is back home after 9 months and a brutal winter alone in the Idaho mountains. Mo was an elderly Chesapeake Bay retriever, wandered away from her owners during a hunting trip last September. Darwin and Cindy Cameron stayed near the tiny hamlet of Horseshoe Bend, about 30 miles north of Boise, for 3 months looking for the dog, but deep snow and harsh conditions eventually made the search impossible. The Idaho Statesman reports dog rescuer Sherry Glankler took in a starving retriever that had collapsed at a nearby ranch last month. She posted photos of the dog on Facebook. Word quickly reached the Camerons that Mo may have been found. Mo had lost her hearing and half her body weight while surviving in the wild, but the Camerons recognized her through her mannerisms and other distinctive details. Now they're back together. News Talk time now, 6:13.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Ample sunshine today with our high temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. Winds will be out of the west at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows in the mid-50s. A heat wave returns through the end of the week with highs in the mid to upper 90s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster, KECI 13.